at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in your sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. Feel the love in your sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. Oh, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. From every walk of life. Every creed and color. And friendship we unite. In honor of God in each other. Ooh, take a look at the person next to you. Say, namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love in your sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. Oh, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love.
Good afternoon. I'm Randy Coleman, the current president of the Board of Trustees. Thank you for being here today. I would like to introduce Jeff Basham, our Zoom host and technical director, who will be assisting me in conducting the business of the meeting. I'll start off by asking Jeff if a quorum of 15% of our members is present.
Yes, Randy, we do have a quorum present.
Thank you, Jeff. I'd like to ask all current Board of Trustees members to join us now by turning on their cameras. All right, thank you. I now call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome you to the 2024 annual gathering of the members of the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa. This is a public meeting and is being recorded to be posted on our website to satisfy the public requirement. Continued participation in the meeting indicates consent to be recorded and for the recording to be posted. At this meeting, we will be conducting the annual business of the center, which will include approving the minutes from last year's meeting, presenting to you the financial condition of the center, electing this year's trustees, and inducting our new Board of Trustees. We will begin our time together, as we do at all of our business meetings, with an invocation. This will be provided by prayer practitioner Lorena Fisher.
Breathing into this oneness, this life, this power, this presence that is ever present within each and every one of us. We come together in unity and abundance. And that this process of the annual meeting is infinitely guided by that divine source, flowing easily and effortlessly with all of technology and through each and every one of our board of directors and those coming in and those leaving. We say a great welcome to each and every one of you and to all that are attending this annual meeting. I give great thanks for all of this, and I release this word knowing it is done, and so it is.
Thank you, Lorena. The Board of Trustees also begins all our meetings with the reading of our sacred covenant. Our sacred covenant. Our identity as the Board of Trustees is to be completely humble, gentle, and patient with one another in love. We make every effort to keep the unity of spirit through the bond of peace. We each perceive that we are one with all people and all are one with us. There is no separation. Our vision is unity. Our purpose is expressing love through service. Our intentions are to embrace spiritual principle and practice as the foundation of our activities, to maintain a big picture awareness, to articulate our vision, values, and philosophy, to maintain a high level of service and stewardship, to be ambassadors of the center, and to communicate openly and regularly. I have some important information about how we will conduct business virtually. First, when I ask for a motion, if you would like to make the motion or second any of the motions, please press the raise hand button on your device. The first two people to raise their hands will be announced as the persons who moved and seconded the motion. Once a motion is made and seconded, an opportunity for discussion will take place. Those wishing to be acknowledged when discussion is called should also use the raised hand button on your device, and you will be acknowledged in the order you raised your hands. Jeff will give you permission to talk, and you will need to unmute yourself before beginning your comments. Third, after discussion is complete, you will be asked to vote by an electronic poll, which will appear on your screen. The results will be announced and displayed on your screen for viewing once the vote has concluded. Our first vote will be to approve the minutes from the 2023 annual membership meeting. These minutes have been available for your review on our website for the past month. May I please have a motion and second to approve the minutes from the 2023 annual membership meeting?
Okay, Martha McCabe makes the motion and Janet Tobin is the second.
Very good. There is a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion? If you would like to speak on the motion, please tap or click on the raise hand button on your device. Comments and questions should be kept brief.
Okay, it looks like we have a question from Michael Seymour. Michael, if you want to unmute yourself, you can speak your question.
Yeah, actually, I did not have a question.
Okay, no problem. We'll go ahead and mute you back. And Sarah Lee Gronberg, go ahead. You can unmute yourself now and ask your question. Sarah, if you're trying to talk, we need, okay, there you go. Go ahead.
It was a mistake.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so we are good to go, Randy.
All right, we've got our technology under control. Now our vote. Please cast your vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the 2023 annual membership meeting using the electronic poll displayed on your device.
Hey, Randy, I'm just waiting for the last few people to vote here. And we have a clear winner, so I'm going to go ahead and end that vote and share the results. And that passes with a 97% yes.
Very good. Thank you all. Now we'll move forward with this year's business and turn our attention to matters of finance. First, I'd like to introduce Mark McDonald. Mark is an independent CPA who has been associated with the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa for many years. Mark has reviewed the 2023 year-end financials and is here today to provide his assessment. After Mark's presentation, we'll hear from our treasurer, Jan Davis. And after Jan speaks, I will open the floor for questions and comments.
My independent accountant's review report states the church's financial statements for 2023 and 2022 are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles in the United States. There are 3 financial statement attestation services performed by CPAs: an audit in which the CPA issues an opinion on the financial statements, a review in which the CPA expresses limited assurance on the financial statements, and a compilation in which the CPA participates in the preparation of the financial statements but expresses no assurance. My independent CPA review report is intended to help the center's ensure the center's finances are properly reported and its assets are fully accounted for and safeguarded from unauthorized use. It is just one of several efforts with this objective. Some of these efforts are internal to the center and some are external. Internal efforts include those of the dedicated staff that do the accounting, stewards and trustees that monitor the accounting, and numerous others at the center who help preserve its resources and maximize the impact of its mission by volunteering in the center's programs. External efforts include independent CPA audits performed at each financial institution the center has a bank account or a certificate of deposit with. The financial institution audits are used by regulators to ensure the financial institutions maintain sufficient capital to qualify for federal deposit insurance and thereby secure the funds the center deposits at the financial institutions. Then there are independent CPA audits performed at each entity that issues a publicly traded security the center's legacy funds are invested in. But are all these efforts enough to prevent a fraud? The answer is, in my opinion, we don't know for sure. There are a multitude of frauds and a multitude of ways frauds are perpetrated these days. There is cybercrime, identity theft, counterfeit documents, embezzled financial assets, stolen non-financial assets. The list of scams goes on and on. But the diligent efforts at the center of all those I have mentioned create a good defense. We all must remain vigilant in those efforts.
And now I'll turn it over to Jan Davis, our treasurer.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Let me start with a reminder that the complete 19-page financial report for last year is available to all of you online. Look for the picture of the vineyard on our homepage. As treasurer, I'm usually way deep in the weeds of the numbers, so it was really lovely to pull back and think about the big picture of last year. And as I looked back, I really felt filled up with gratitude. Edward often reminds us that the center isn't this building. It's all of us. It's all of you. And you were really stars last year. You showed up for services. You volunteered. You joined our new choir. You ran the bookstore. You cleaned the creek. You raked the parking lot. You videoed and recorded our services. You served as trustees and stewards and practitioners and giving intention to members. You were our receptionist. You welcomed people to every Sunday and Wednesday service. You cleaned the floors and emptied the trash. You served coffee and tea and gave big smiles. You baked and brought in plates full of goodies. You filled our social hall during so many fun events like sharing our bounty and the pie party and making Valentines and Christmas ornaments, carving pumpkins, and enjoying the goodies that the AIDS life cycle bake sales. Yes, you really are the center for spiritual living. You are this vibrant and growing and strong community. And right about now, maybe some of you are thinking, well, wait, isn't she supposed to be giving a financial report? Well, on one simple way of looking at it, every task that you're doing is something that the center doesn't have to pay somebody to do. But really, I think there's so much more from your volunteering. I've heard so many people talk about when they first come to the center, they feel at home, they feel safe. And that's your presence and your volunteering and your energy that fills up our center and is noticeable. Your energy translates into new members and new volunteers, and yes, new financial contributions. We are a strong and vibrant community. We've weathered the pandemic and we are moving in a positive financial direction in almost all areas. There are 2 areas where we need to improve. Your contributions are the center's biggest source of revenue, and our contributions are down about $150,000 compared to years before the pandemic. So if you're able, I'm asking you to please consider contributing just a little more to support our center. Secondly, we had a negative cash flow of about $40,000 last year. In the last 3 years, we've had negative $100,000, then $60,000, and then $40,000 last year. So our negative cash flow is getting more manageable. And that's really because of the efforts of our staff to take on doing more tasks themselves and to do everything they can to hold costs down. We're also really fortunate that our center's leadership has practiced good financial management and built up cash reserves that have carried us through the last few years. And we had a lot of positive financial news last year. Thanks to the efforts of Dinah Withrich and Jim Thomason, the stewards are investing most of our cash reserves in certificates of deposit. We have 1 or 2 CDs that mature every month, almost every month. So we have access to cash along the way. And we've gone from earning about $3,000 in interest to earning $25,000 in interest last year. And thanks to so many of you who donated art and bought art, and the efforts of Bob Hart, Daniel Celador, Carrie Manwaller, and a host of volunteers, we made $16,800 at our art fundraiser. Spiritual study is one of the pillars of our center, and our education department really increased its ability to offer classes and workshops, both in person and online, and made $19,000 last year. Reverend Russ created a 6-month education catalog that's available at the information table. And of course, you can always go on the website, look for the events and classes menu. You'll see all the classes and workshops coming up, and every class has an easy link to its registration page. You know, and this might be a really appropriate time to mention Alan Yeager. I consider Alan almost a professional volunteer. Alan creates most of our printed materials as well as managing the information on our website. Last February, we hosted VISTA, the annual meeting of the International Science of Mind movement. Once again, there were a host of you who volunteered to make this possible. We welcomed ministers and visitors in person from all over the United States and live streamed the event worldwide. We broke even financially on the event itself, and as a little added bonus, the visitors who came spent $3,300 in our bookstore. Speaking of the bookstore, thanks to Alicia Carroll and Suzanne Holm and many volunteers, our bookstore earned $12,000 in profit in 2023. And to put that into perspective, this is really the first time our bookstore is contributing a profit over and above the expenses it takes to run it. And maybe it's a real sign of moving past the after effects of the pandemic. We've made $18,000 renting rooms to other nonprofits. That's almost 3 times what we earned before the pandemic. There's an AA meeting here most days of the week. Pathways and Canine Companions are holding their events here again. Toastmasters meets here every week. And our beloved sister community, Shomrei Torah, came back for their High Holy Days. If you happen to know of a nonprofit that wants to rent space, please talk with Linda Han. So I can wholeheartedly end my report by saying, we are a strong and vibrant and growing community, and we are strong and vibrant because of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. The floor is now open for questions or comments specifically directed toward our treasurer or CPA. We've asked Dr. Edward and COO Linda Han to join us in answering your questions. If you wish to ask a question, you have 2 options. You can tap or click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and type your question into the Q&A screen. Questions will be read aloud and answered in the order received. Or you may also ask your question live by clicking on the Raise Hand button on your device. Those who raise their hands will be acknowledged and will need to click on Unmute on their device before asking their questions.
Okay, this is Jeff, the host. I'm just waiting for some questions to come in, and I'll post those. Teresa, if you don't mind spotlighting me so that everyone can see me online, that would be great. Thank you. And our first question, comes from Alora Odell asking, was that 3,300 in the bookstore from one event?
Yes, it was the visitors who came to the Vista, the days that we had Vista here in person. They were here, I think, a couple of days.
Okay. Thank you. Our next question is from Taylor. Taylor Poff asking, is this the right place to ask about the roof?
I think it's the right place to ask about the roof. And I know that Linda might have some more information about the status on the bids we've been getting.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we are going to be doing some more roof repair, probably in the next few weeks to 6 weeks when the rain stops. We're putting a silicone coating on our current leaks. And that's a cost of about $10,000. And our facility manager, William Abel, is working with the roofing contractor on that.
Great. Thank you, Linda. We now have a question from Angel Fiorito. If you would like to unmute yourself, Angel, and ask your question.
Actually, I don't have a question, but I did want to say how very moving I felt the report was and how important the center is to me and so many people. We have weathered a lot, and these are just baby steps coming back to the power and abundance that we've experienced so beautifully over the years. And I just was very moved by the report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angel. We appreciate the comments. And we will go also to Mary Munat. You have a question. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, hi everyone. Jan, thanks so much for that great report. I too am moved by everything that's going on at our center. Recognizing that there's no time like the present, I went to the website to increase my monthly giving, and it says to email Mitzi Hughes. I know how to do the form to begin with, encouraging anyone else who has the capacity to wait till the end of the meeting to increase as we are able.
Thank you,
Thank
Mary.
you. Okay, we do have some more written questions here. One from Venus Maher asking, was the $40,000 deficit covered by the past investments?
We have been dipping into our savings to be able to run. Yeah, and it's been covered by what the center calls their prudent reserves, which is the cash that we have in certificates of deposit right now.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Cheryl Paulus, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Could the treasurer repeat the amount of interest being earned? Was that monthly or annually? Sounds fabulous.
It was annually, and it was $25,000 last year.
Wonderful, thank you. And Bettina O'Brien asks, do you, you didn't mention the financials. Anyway, she's asking if you could talk about the regular income from the bookstore. Was that said, and did she miss it?
I did say, well, what I said and what I recorded was there's $12,000 in profit. I don't know I can't remember what the gross income was at this moment. I'd be happy to find that out for you. If you reach out to me by email, I'd be happy to let you know.
Wonderful, thank you. Ruth Livy asks, how much do you charge to rent a room to hold a meeting for 12 people, and how much to rent a room for a larger event of 100 plus?
You know what, if she or anyone else has questions regarding the room rental, if they could contact me either by phone or email, I'd be happy to go over those details. It does depend, obviously, on the size of the group and what room they rent and for what period of time. But we're very reasonable, and we try to make it as easy as we can for other nonprofit organizations.
Great, thank you, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
We have one more question, so if anyone else has a question, please go ahead and start typing that in or raising your hand, and we'll get to you. Jenny Kerr asks, how much do we have left in prudent reserves?
Oh, that's a great question. I think we have something like 700,000, 800,000.
Great.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that if anyone wanted the particular numbers, they can also email you.
They can also look on the online at the financial reports that are posted there.
Great suggestion as well. Clark Austin, you may unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. Yeah, the question I had was with the raising utility rates that we're experiencing, what's that doing to our operating budget for keeping the building running?
We are really fortunate that we entered into a PPA, which stands for Power Program Agreement or something, several years ago. The center, we have solar on the structure on the parking lot. When we entered into that agreement, we had a set price per kilowatt hour that will last the full 18 years of that agreement. So we are somewhat shielded from most of the increases that PG&E is doing right now. And I think we're maybe only halfway through that agreement. Once that agreement is over, the structure becomes ours, and we will no longer even be paying that company for leasing the facility and having that. So our utility bill would go way down because at that point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clark, and thank you, Jan. We do have a related question from Bettina asking, are we on Sonoma Clean Power?
I don't believe we are because we get the majority of our electricity through our solar panels. We're only paying PG&E about $25 a month for extra electricity. And the other thing we're paying for is gas for heating. So I'm not sure that Sonoma Clean Power offers the gas side of things anyway.
Thank you. One more question from Tomas Phillips asking, I heard mention of looking for a smaller facility. Is that still being considered?
I can answer that. It's always an option. I don't know that we're there yet. I think that it's prudent to always look to the future. Right now, the world of lending and real estate for spiritual organizations is a whole different game to what it was when we got our mortgage, and our lendability as an organization, along with other spiritual organizations, has changed somewhat because of the drop in confidence that lending institutions have when it comes to spiritual organizations. So it might be prudent to stay put for a while.
Thank you, Dr. Edward. And Bruce Gata, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, I was wondering, when I hear these financial reports, I never hear of how much and where the money comes from when we donate to our nonprofits.
Thank you, Bruce. Go ahead.
The center tithes on all of the contributions that are made. That's the money that you put into the baskets and the money you send in checks and the automatic payments that you're making. It does not include rentals and things like that. It's all on the contributions, but that's the really bulk of the money that the center receives. And so that's what we're tithing on. That's the money that goes to our nonprofits and our home office that we also tithe to.
Thank you, Jan. There's one more question going back to the building that we were talking about. Bettina asks, have we considered looking into going off gas and becoming all electrical, like with heat pumps?
As far as I know, we have not looked at that. It would be something might be interesting to look at, but it would also at some point, because of our own solar facility, but It would also require some infrastructure, I'm pretty sure, to be able to do that conversion, so. Maybe in the future, it'd be something to look at.
Definitely. Thank you, Jan. We have a question from Angel. If you'd like to, or Angel, I'm sorry, Angel Marie, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Yeah, my question is are we tithing 10% to the profit that we're giving, are we tithing 10% of what we get from our donations? Are we tithing 10% also?
We have been tithing 10% up through 2023. This year, I believe we're going to be cutting back our percentage a little bit just to help with our own cash flow so that we can maintain ourselves as a center. But as soon as possible, we have a plan to kind of keep building up a little at a time till we get back to that 10%.
Okay, that's reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. We have another couple of questions that have been written in. Hochima asks, is there a reconsideration of the fee for the parking lot as we don't seem to use the parking lot at AT&T like we used to?
No, actually, we just entered into a new 3-year agreement with AT&T for the parking lot. And we actually still use it on a weekly basis with our room rentals and overflow, as well as special events and our busier services like Easter and Christmas. So we're grateful that we have that still.
Thank you, Linda. Dennis O'Rear is asking if you know it, how are other centers doing financially?
I can answer. It's a mixed bag, depends on location and size and whether or not the community had a prudent reserve. And so, you know, it's more of like a graph of possibilities, including some centers have lost their communities, their buildings, and their assets have been used up to get through the pandemic. And others have, like we, been able to keep afloat and are in recovery as well. I would say that we are doing by far on the top edge of well, even compared to other communities. And that is, as Jan said, as a result of a number, as well as Mark said, a number of factors: excellent stewardship, some good financial news that we couldn't have planned for, some gifts, and the bequest that put us ahead, the Cindy Wagner bequest. So we had a number of things fall into place that put us in a better than average position to survive the pandemic.
Great, thank you, Dr. Edward. And I think that brings our time of question and answers to a close. So Randy, I'll invite you to come back up with a spotlight here and you can continue. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to our financial panel. At this time, I ask for a motion and second a vote to accept the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2023.
Okay, thank you, Randy. And we have a motion from Lynn Rubish and a second from Dinah Withrich.
Great. There is a motion on the floor and discussion has already taken place. Now our vote. Please cast your vote on the motion to accept the financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2023, and using the poll displayed on your device.
Okay, we're just about complete. We have a clear answer. I'm going to end that vote and share the results. And that passed with 99%.
Thank you. I would now like to take this time to introduce our current trustees. Terms ending today, Jan Peterson, Vice President, Anne Marie Cheney, and Randy Coleman, President. Terms ending March 2025, Jan Davis, Treasurer, Jerry Huffaker, Lawrence Edwards. Terms ending March 2026, Adrienne Bowes, Karen Hatton, and Greg Summers. Greg's unable to join us today. At this time, Board Vice President Jan Peterson will introduce the slate of candidates for the next term.
Hi, good afternoon. Jan Peterson here. And now I get to introduce to you the slate of candidates for the Board of Trustees. And I'm going to start with Vicki Dodson. Are we spotlighting Vicki or?
Yes, we will shortly. You can go ahead and continue.
All right. Vicki was influenced by her childhood in a couple of ways. She was brought up in a military family, which meant she moved a lot. And so that gave her, as she said, a kind of an adaptability or a flexibility, which I thought that's a good trait for the Board of Trustees. Also, as a child, she was required to attend church 3 times a week. And so she turned away from that tradition, but really was seeking something different. And she says that when she walked into the center, the first time she walked in, almost 20 years ago, she felt she'd found her spiritual home, her tribe. And she's been on a conscious spiritual journey ever since. She says she embraces her spiritual community through prayer and service. And yes, she's a prayer practitioner, and she's done a lot of service. Thank you, Vicki. She's been a TA for many classes, and she was my prac training through TA through my entire prac training. She's been involved with the grief and loss support group, and has helped coordinate heart and hand ministry. So a lot of service, Vicki. Thank you. So she kind of stepped back and was like, well, what's next for me? And then she got a call from me asking her to consider to apply for the board. As a prayer practitioner would, she said, let me pause and pray about this, and then wholeheartedly agreed. Vicki attended Humboldt State University, where she got her degree in social services and then worked in the victim assistance program for the county of Sonoma. And she's now retired. Vicki lives close to her adult son and grandchild, who I met on Zoom a few times. And she says she enjoys attending to an overflowing assortment of houseplants, walking her dog, lunching with friends, thrift shopping, and taking excursions to the beach and snow country. Vicki Dodson. Thank you. Okay. My next person introduced is Mary Minot. Mary is is an environmental activist and owner of a business called Green Mary, which is a thriving Sonoma County business keeping waste out of the Bay Area landfills. Yay, Mary. She's also been a member of our center since 2013. And she says these 2 things, her business and being a member of the center, are the 2 pursuits that are pillars of her very active life. She starts each day with a Science of Mind reading, as well as other spiritual readings, to set the tone for, she says, success, peace, and happiness. She says she's powered by the need to do good, and that makes her feel good. And I'm going to read you a motto. I'm going to read this now. I'm going to be doing something with most every waking moment. Why not do something good and or kind? Motivating, entertaining, leading, educating, and lifting up are a few of her many skills. I love that lifting up, Mary. Mary's active in the local Humane Society, where she's fostered, she says, 32 dogs. She also regularly leads workshops and gives talks about living lighter on the planet. She regularly donates her time and services to many causes in Sonoma County. She states she's an avid reader, traveler, skier, and friend, and excels at prioritizing that which causes her spirit to flourish. She says she looks forward to contributing to the center as a new trustee. Mary, thank you. And my third and final person I'm introducing today is Maxine Wilkinson. Maxine started her lifelong career at Sonoma Developmental Center when she was a 19-year-old mother of two. She started as a psychiatric technician and 17 years later was working as a registered nurse. It sounds like she did it all, from the floor nursing up to assistant director of nursing. And she served on many committees. And I said, well, that's a good trait for being on the board. What she says about this is, I'm fortunate to have made many friends during my time at Developmental Center. And she says some of those people are lifelong friends. She also said she holds the staff and clients from there in her highest regard. In retirement, Maxine says she's on the go, exploring things near and far. And you may have seen her at the center. I did when we came in during Vista. It was like, there she is. Once a week, she comes to our center and cleans, vacuums, dusts, washes dishes, and organizes supplies. Maxine says this about her volunteer work here at the center. It's a pleasure to make the center sparkle. She also enjoys helping her friend with farm animal chores and takes long walks at Spring Lake. Family connections are a high priority, and Maxine hosts all the family birthdays and holidays parties at her house. She also brings goodies for us to eat in the social hall. She made some blueberry bran muffins today. They're fabulous. She says her latest and greatest joy is caring for her 8-month-old grandchild. Maxine said at the end of her application, I value hard work, honesty, friendships, and family. I can always be counted on to do the things I say I'm going to do. Maxine. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jan.
Yeah, welcome.
Are there any other nominations from the floor? If you have a nomination, please tap or click on the raise hand button on your device.
And we have no nominations.
All right, thank you. Hearing no nominations, I ask for a motion and a second to accept the slate of candidates as presented by the Board of Trustees.
Our motion was made by Mary Martin and seconded by Chandra Farnsworth. Thank you.
Thank you. There is a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion? If you'd like to speak on the motion, please tap or click on the raise hand button on your device.
I do not see anyone raising their hands.
All right. Thank you. The poll that will be displayed on your device for this vote has 3 questions, one for each of the 3 trustees nominated today. Please vote one option on each of the 3 candidates before submitting your vote. You may need to scroll down to see the entire list of candidates. Now our vote. Please cast your vote for the slate of candidates as presented on your device.
Okay, this one just takes a little bit longer for everyone to fill out since there's all the 3 questions to fill out. Just wait another second here.
Okay.
There is a question that was asked, how many votes do you get? You get to vote on each candidate. You can select yes, no, or abstain on each one. And I think we are complete. I will display the results. And all three of the candidates have been elected. 98% yes for Vicky, 99% for Mary, and 98% for Maxine. Thank you and welcome all three of you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Vicky, Mary, and Maxine. We welcome you to the Board of Trustees and are grateful for your service. Now we would like to take a few moments to thank our outgoing trustees. Each will receive a trustee emeritus name badge. When you see a person wearing such a badge, you will know that they have served on the board and are likely to be able to answer questions that you may have regarding our center or point you in the right direction. Departing trustees are invited to join the alumni trustee group, which meets monthly, for a former trustees dialogue to maintain camaraderie and to be of further service to our center. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, Karen Hatton, myself, and Adrienne Bowes will now present messages of our gratitude to the outgoing trustees.
Go ahead when you're ready, Karen.
Anne Marie, when I joined the board last year, you were so welcoming to me. You were always there with a warm greeting and smile. You provided me with help and guidance in learning the roles of the board. I thank you for that. I have seen and admired your unwavering dedication to the board and to the center. You continue to enrich your life with taking classes and workshops. Even though you will be leaving the board, I know that you will continue to serve our center with your countless hours of volunteering. I'm sure you will be there to lead with me on the welcome team, along with your many hats. I always enjoy working with you, with your good sense of humor and demeanor. You have a way of making everybody who enters our center feel so welcome. You are truly a blessing to us all. We appreciate your service on the board, and we know that your service to the center will continue on. Love and blessings to you, Anne Marie.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, Jan, before bidding you farewell, I'd just like to share some of the contributions that you've made with our members. You and I have worked together since you invited me to join the Sunday service welcoming team in 2019. I really enjoyed it, especially when I was assigned to guard the back door. It was a great time. Then COVID struck just a few months later, and we had to pivot, and you became a Zoom and Facebook welcomer and monitor. Completely different experience. When we made the decision to return to in-person services in 21, I remember you spending countless hours in the planning process. And once we opened, you recruited, trained, scheduled, and led many of the Sunday service volunteers for months and months. What a job that was. And then right about the same time, you decided, well, I think I'll become a trustee. I need to add something else to my list. And then as a trustee, you joined us on the COVID advisory team, helping to create the guidelines and pass along information to keep us all safe during the pandemic. It's a really important thing. And then this last year, you chaired the nominating committee. and recruited five wonderful new trustees in 1 year. Something that I don't think has ever been done, and we hope never has to be done again. But did a beautiful job.
Thank you.
And then, by the way, people, Jan, during all of this, you managed to take the classes and take the test and become a practitioner. Really amazing. I don't know how you did that. And you were working at the same time. So just a really, really fine service record. That's just a quick summary. I'm sure I've left things out, but I want everybody to know.
Yeah.
You show up eager to serve with a smile on your face, love in your heart every single time. You're a great team player and an absolute pleasure to work with. Thank you for all you do, and blessings for whatever you do next.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Today, the Board of Trustees says a goodbye to Randy Coleman, who has served as president of the board for the past 2 years. Oh, and by the way, during a worldwide pandemic, a stressor that hadn't been done ever in our lifetimes. Randy is a man with an open mind, an open heart, and a calm and collaborative nature. When Randy joined the board, he brought professional skills from his long career as a school principal and coupled them with intention and high integrity and a great sense of humor. Randy's study of science of mind inspired him, and its principles informed his leadership on the board. Randy has always been inclusive and supportive with staff members, volunteers, and fellow trustees. His positive attitude and collegial style of communication makes everyone feel welcome and heard at a board meeting or just in the social hall. Randy's love of our center is evident in many ways. We have been blessed with his years of service and appreciate all that he has done for our center. Please join me in thanking him today.
Thank you all. It is now my pleasure to turn the meeting over to our senior minister, Dr. Edward Fillion.
Thank you very much. And hello, everyone. This has been very moving listening to everything. And I'm so delighted to be here. I want to first ask the question, what happens to old trustees? Maybe you don't know. There's, as we say farewell to Jan and Randy and Anne-Marie, what happens to them? Well, there is a group, there's an alumni group of people who have previously served on the board of trustees, and they meet fairly regularly, sometimes in person at the center and sometimes in a social way. So it's I love this group because it's the accumulated wisdom of people who really know how the center works. They're like, I want to call them the elders. So Mary and Maxine and Vicky, you're stepping into something that has a history and a legacy and looks forward, and there's something for you too in the future. Now, as I reflect on what we heard, I was thinking about what is the most significant report I can give to the members this year. And I think it's that we made it through another year. And it's brought us to being 70 years old as a spiritual community. I just want you to let that sink in. I mean, that's significant. We're 70 years old as a spiritual community in Sonoma County. And now, thanks to virtual services and our radio ministry, we are reaching way beyond Sonoma County. I see even some of our members are from beyond Sonoma County right now. So this is an appropriate time for me to invite you to a celebration to celebrate our 70 years. And by the way, this event, the form of this event was suggested by one of our members who's attending today Aubrey Gray, we're going to have one single community service at 10 a.m. on June 30th. Instead of having our regular 2 services, we're going to just pack the house with everybody once together. Whew, it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be a service that focuses on a lot of community singing and then is followed by a brunch. We're already working it all out, and then a raffle, and then we're going to create a community time capsule to bury somewhere on the property. And you may know this, that we already have one time capsule that is buried inside the foundation of the building when we first started laying it. And inside that time capsule is a Science of Mind textbook. On June 30th, we're going to put messages from our current community to the future community who will discover it some 70 years later. I want to say some thank yous while we're thinking about our 70 years. A thank you to a group of people who aren't here in this meeting because they've just found out their way to our community, whether that is by discovering us online, and that still takes place. People are just finding us online. Some people are coming in person for the first time. Some people are coming because they heard of a class, never been to services before. People are still finding their way to the center by way of the radio program. And there's a real solid group of people who have made the Wednesday evening service their home. And then there is the developing, expanding circles for spiritual connection. All of these things are drawing new people who one day will be sitting in this meeting with us because I'm certain they'll become members. I also want to say thank you to the members and the friends. Perhaps there are some who are not here. There are friends who have not become members, but the members who have stayed solid and strong and supportive throughout all of these trials and tribulations we've heard mentioned. And some of us have realized that the virtual way of being in community really works better for them. And others have found that they really miss the in-person way of being in attendance. And do you know there's a group of people who double dip? They do both. In fact, there are people who not only watch online, they also listen on the radio and they come in person. And that really tickles me to know that there are people among us that are taking advantage of all of the offerings that we have at the center. And also thank you, a big thank you to those who are no longer with us on this planet, but who have been part in the creation of this community and the growing and directing and leading and supporting of this community. If you haven't, or if you don't know about it, we have a community remembrance page where we highlight the people who have passed on. And although this method of remembering only goes as far back as we've had the internet, it's a beautiful tradition that we've started, and it adds to our organizational history that is also captured in our minutes that help us preserve our history and our roots, telling us about the steady growth of interest in science of mind in Sonoma County since 1954, confirming that we are here. People who are drawn to learning about the working of their minds and how to apply their thought creatively for social good and for personal good, for improvement. We are here and we have carved out a place to be here, and we intend to be here for whoever feels that same call to look within and reconfirm agency, self-determination, and who seek a relationship with that something that we heard talked about in the opening prayer, that something that is the source of creativity and compassion. Now, the form in which we have been here in Sonoma County, well, it's changed and evolved since 1954, where we started in a living room on Clark Street, which is actually the street I live on currently. And I can look out of my living room and look right at the house in which people sat and listened to reel tapes, to listen to lectures by Dr. Ernest Holmes. And then that group began meeting in various rented rooms and facilities around town, and then eventually purchased a property on Cherry Street, and then outgrew that place, and then moved to Luther Burbank Center for the Performing Arts, and then purchased what is now known as the Center for Spiritual Living, but used to be Starscape World on Occidental Road. It's now become an icon in Sonoma County, and Jan is correct. It's the center is not the building, and yet this building has become an icon of what we aspire to be in this community. Now, thanks to your generosity, you the members, and also to that bequest, the Cindy Wagner bequest that I mentioned earlier, and also the insightful stewardship that Mark referred to and Jan referred to, we've done well with our presence here and this building. We've paid down our mortgage significantly, and we've invested very well that set us up to survive the pandemic. And, our mortgage, if you don't know the number, it's around $7,700 a month that we pay. And that is scheduled to be paid off January 31st, 2028. That's significant. That's weighty. And I want to just appreciate that. Now, I know I studied the science of mind just like you did, and I know that we are taught to use our imagination in constructive, creative ways to build a pathway in mind for the energy of life, of creation to flow through into manifestation, right? So nevertheless, I can also see some value in using my imagination to think about a reality in which the center is no longer here. Because doing so is not negative, it's actually quite proactive. It helps me get very clear on why it is so important to me that I would commit my career, my life to it, like so many people have. The existence of the center and its community, us, well, it validates my existence in a way. And what I mean by that is that the center has always been a place that welcomes, includes, and confirms people like me, like you, who possibly don't fit in a tidy way into the rest of the spiritual and social landscape, not in a tidy, predictable way. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. That is so valuable and important to me. And of course, no spiritual organization is perfect. And I'm not naive enough to expect that from this organization. And no spiritual teacher is perfectly enlightened or morally exceptional. I know that. And if you've been expecting that in me or in the other teachers and ministers, I advise you to stop that so we can just get realistic and say, no, we're in this together. And then we can focus on what the center really has been and is. Not only to me, to you, but to countless other people. A symbol of possibility, of strength, of hope. And I can't really imagine a Sonoma County without the center. Well, I don't want to be in that imagined future. The center is that important to me. I love it. Now, as we heard today from the treasurer, what a beautiful report. Financial support is the number one area where we can focus on and do our part as we are able to increase. I hear that. Thank you for that. And I want to thank those people who are supporting our center financially. Thank you so much for that. And I'm one of you. I'm with you in that. I'm very regular and dependable in my giving, and I have been since I took this job. So I appreciate the importance of that, and I thank you for that. I'm also asking the question, how else can we, the membership, support our center in addition? And I think word of mouth is one of the most important ways. Telling the story of your experience of the center, because word of mouth today remains the number one most valuable method of raising awareness among all industries, more so even than advertising. That's known. So I want to make a suggestion that you tell your friends about how the center has a place in your heart, what it means to you, how it's changed you, what you've learned there. That's really what I think is the important thing, to ask the members to recommit to lifting the center up in your words. And then finally, possibly the most important way, you heard new trustee Mary say she begin, well, the introduction of her, that she begins her day with a spiritual mind treatment and affirmative prayer. I want to invite you to begin every day. Give yourself a length of time. How about a year? And every day to say a prayer on behalf of your Center for Spiritual Living and its community and the future generations that will one day make their home in this place like we have. Now, the treasurer highlighted some of the things from the last year, and we've heard in the report some of the things that have been working, and I could list them all, but I wondered from you, the people attending this audience, and I'm going to ask Jeff to open up the chat now so we can type in the chat, because I would love a record of this. What are some of the things that have been highlights that you've appreciated and enjoyed this past year at the center, so we can look at that? So let me see if you could put that in, and then we will capture that right there in the chat tab. What was it that you enjoyed? I know I'm going to type in there the book exchange, even though it was this year. But just to give us an idea of what it is that you enjoyed. There I'm seeing that we hosted Vista, that people got to represent our center, the art exhibit, and the sale, the sharing our bounty and spirit walks, singing with our great band, the pumpkin carving, making Valentines, oh, the music events, and the youth program. And some of these are going so fast I can't even read it, but fortunately we are recording this and we're going to save it and look at it together with the staff and leadership. The dedication of the staff and the book exchange, the spiritual circulation class, oh gosh, I loved that. Our newest upbeat musicians, the being able to rejoin the choir, the art reception, spirit walk, harvest giveaway, all of these things. This is wonderful. The music presented, I can't even read them. They're going so quickly. This is wonderful. Now I'll tell you what I'm going to do with all of these. We're going to take it and organize it to see what comes out, so that we can feed that to the leadership and the staff to see what we're doing that is working well, because that is so important. We really do pride ourselves on listening and responding to our membership. So that is my 2024 presentation. Thank you for one more year of being your senior minister. And now I turn the meeting back over to somebody.
Randy Cole, or no, I'm sorry, no, it is Reverend Russ.
I don't know if I'm spotlighted. There I am. Okay, hi, I'm Reverend Russ Laguerre, your assistant minister here at our community. And on behalf of all of the members and our whole community, it is my great pleasure to lead our time of recommitment and the induction of our new board of trustees. It is our tradition to charge each new board of trustees to hold our center in sacred trust. Before doing so, we, the witnesses of this ceremony, have an opportunity to renew our commitment as members of the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa. To set the tone for our trustees who will be committing to fulfill the duties of their position, I ask you, our members, do you commit to be loyal, active, and supporting of your spiritual community here at the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa to the best of your ability? You can say that in your heart, I will. You can say that to your screen that you're looking at. I think the chat might even still be open. You can put it in there if it's open.
I will.
All right. Do you commit to continue in your own regular spiritual practice to the best of your ability so as to contribute to a world that works for everybody? And again, you can say, I will.
I will.
Ooh, I love seeing all those yeses in the chat. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your commitment. Now, our trustees are guided by a covenant. And that covenant was read at the start of this meeting. And that covenant is a commitment to be humble, gentle, and patient with one another as we each attend to the business of the center. It's a commitment also to strive to make spiritual principle and practice be the foundation of all the work we do together on behalf of our spiritual community. So, to the trustees, on behalf of the members of our center, I ask you, will you commit to keeping a spirit of unity and love on the board by striving to see each other as an expression of the divine? If so, please unmute yourself and say, I will.
I will.
I will.
I will.
I will.
Well,
I will.
Wonderful. Linda Han attends each of our board meetings in her capacity as our Chief Operating Officer. So I've invited her to read the intentions stated in the Sacred Covenant as a refresher for those trustees continuing their service and as an introduction to those who are starting their service today.
Thank you, Reverend Russ. You know, I was thinking about the meeting this morning and I realized that I've attended over 70 board meetings since I joined the staff in 2018. And to say that that has been my pleasure and an honor is an understatement. Each board faces new challenges, they make their own contributions, and they leave a lasting legacy. And each trustee brings their unique self and life experience to the role. What is constant is that each trustee deeply loves our center and is dedicated to the well-being of our community. And it's been a joy to witness this and the work, the good work that they do during their 3-year term and beyond. So with that, let me read these intentions. To embrace spiritual practice and principle as the foundation of our activities, to maintain a big picture awareness, to articulate our vision, values, and philosophy, to maintain a high level of service and stewardship, to be ambassadors of the center, and to communicate openly and regularly.
Thank you, Linda. And I can say a couple of months ago, Linda actually had a board meeting off and we all knew it because she had been a fixture in every single one of those board meetings for so long. So thank you so much, Linda, for all that you do. Now, on behalf of the members of our center, I ask you, will you commit to keeping these intentions in the forefront of your awareness while you serve on the board? If so, please say, I will.
I
will.
All right, having heard your willingness to abide by the vision in this covenant on behalf of the members of our center and through the power of the living spirit within each one of us, I declare you to be our newly elected and installed Board of Trustees. Everyone, please join me in welcoming our new Board of Trustees into sacred service.
Thank you, Reverend Russ. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge a few people who've been working in the background, preparing for hours for this meeting, and we're in service today to ensure a smooth virtual experience. Alan Yeager, who's been working behind the scenes to deliver registration information for this meeting. Our practitioners, Christine Ruddy and Don Snow, who have been at our board meetings throughout the past year, holding the spiritual practice space for the work the board has done. Practitioners Lorena Fisher and Sue Robson, who have been in service on high watch for today's meeting. Member Paul Corbett, our parliamentarian for today's meeting. Practitioner Teresa Jansen, our Zoom co-host and assistant virtual stage manager. Former trustee Nancy Reynolds, who's been monitoring the Q&A and answering questions. Linda Hand, COO, who has been monitoring the meeting, ensuring accuracy and taking minutes. And finally, technical director and practitioner Jeff Basham, who is serving as our Zoom host and virtual stage manager today. Thank you all so much. And now we will ask practitioner Sue Robson to close our meeting by giving the benediction.
And with the very breath that I breathe, I take in and recognize the one life that has been present during our time together, that one love that is in each of us and will go with each of us as we enter the rest of our day. I bless all that has taken place here in our meeting, knowing it was good, filled with hope and sacred. Grateful I am to be a part of such a community of people. I celebrate the new trustees and I bless their path as they serve this center and all who are a part of it. In great love and gratitude, I release this word into the law of love, knowing that love and blessing return from it. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Sue. We have now concluded all the business on our agenda. At this time, I ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
And that motion was made by Chandra Farnsworth and seconded by Jennifer Mann. Thank you.
Thank you. Now our vote. Please vote via the electronic poll displayed on your device.
This one always goes really fast, Randy. I don't know why.
I don't get it. I just
we are good, and I'm sharing the results out. 100% want to be done.
That's fantastic. Thank you all for attending today, for participating in this so vitally important event. Our meeting is adjourned.